They made me go to that shoplifting class. You ever do that?
No, I just go to prison.
Bryant Dee was the worst. I'll screw him since he grew up. Degenerate convict junkie, it's all he ever knew of. Spent his life drugging and boozing in and out of the system. Years down the drain from lots of bad decisions. Druggalo, thuggalo, juggalo, but now he is recovered. Still a juggalo, but a new life he discovered. Without drugs and alcohol and trying to help others, but still is an asshole. I asked his mother. He's a juggalo in recovery, just to let him be. He's a juggalo in recovery, look at the discoveries. He's a juggalo in recovery, still needs some therapy. If you can't find God, you should talk to his brother. Dee was Diablo and Jesus was his brother, but now Dee believes 12 steps helped him to recover. Met him in halfway with the pillow I wanted to smother. He was wearing face paint my first day of sober living. I thought I was crazy, and where the hell was I living? Killer clowns managing halfway houses, but he helped show me the way. Still sober cause he recovered and he gives it away. He's a juggalo in recovery, just to let him be. He's a juggalo in recovery, look at the discoveries. He's a juggalo in recovery, still needs some therapy.
I can't hear you. I have an ear infection. What did you say?
You're like a 12-year-old.
And this is why you love me.
So, my name is Leroy. I'm a recovered alcoholic addict. I just came from a meeting at a detox, and we were speaking about how I really don't know how this thing works. I mean, I know how it works, and I have a book that explains how it works, but I still don't know how it works. I just know that it does. And I know that working this program, I'm a completely different person than I was before I got into it. And one of those people that helped me go through the book and understand those things was you. And we met the day I got out of jail the last time. And you were at the halfway house I went to. And although I went to that halfway house because I knew there was girls there, and I had no intentions of working the steps, I ended up meeting you. So how did you get to that halfway house?
What a great story. I wish you would tell about your first day in halfway meeting me. In true Juggalo fashion on a Halloween weekend.
Well, that's what you're here for.
Painted up like a Juggalo. That's funny because I got there because of Rock Road, you know? Good old Rock Road,
Yes.
boy.
We have a good alumni that came out of Rock Road.
I was on a 4-month run, you know, doing all the degenerate trash can junkie things like my friend Trash Panda. And I met some guy in the county jail who told me about this place called Artesian. And my dad was like, I can get you over into Blake's house for free. And I was like, fuck that. I will make it 2 weeks and knock out the house manager because I am not with that prison shit. The second somebody tries to treat me like I'm a prisoner and you got more letters than me. I love Blake, don't get me wrong, but I ain't tolerating that shit. I have enough common sense, I didn't need that. And
Well, some of us did need it.
There's this halfway house and there's labor halls you could walk to, and I'm like, cool, I lost the license. And there's girls you can talk to, and I
Yes.
was like, cool, because my on and off now wife of 15 years, on and off together though, left my ass and said she's completely done with me, she's over the shit, because I mean, a good like 6-7 years of our relationship I was locked up. I mean, could you blame her?
I think she needs to have her examined for taking you back. But still, we have special people in our lives that put up with the special things we did somehow.
Yeah, those are the ones that see that little bit of potential in us for some reason when we still hate ourselves and hate the world. And before we realize our own potential, they already seen it many years ago. They were just waiting for us to pull our heads out of our ass and hear that and get our shit together.
I don't know if anyone ever saw that potential in me, because I don't think I had
did.
any of it.
Somebody did.
No.
Maybe your ex-wife, she just gave up because it took too long to hurry up.
I don't blame her, and I'm sure she's living a much better life without me. One day that bridge will be crossed. So when I went to Artesian, I was kind of scared to have freedom because in jail I know how to adapt and I know what to do to survive. But going out in the free world sober, that was scary. Telling me I gotta go to prison, okay, I'm gonna start doing push-ups. It'll suck when I got this. You're gonna get released on October 31st. I don't know what to do. I was having constant panic attacks. I was asking people if there was a way I could volunteer to stay in jail longer. And I heard about Artesian because I was luckily in the drug program. But oddly enough, almost everyone in jail has some sort of substance abuse problem. Is that crazy?
I mean, that's the whole reason I've ever went to juvie, jail, one-nighters, psych wards. It all started with drugs and alcohol, man, and I come from a line of alcoholics and addicts. My dad has, about 15, 16 years sober. My little brother's now sober again, and he's coming up on a year, so thank God Rock Road. We'll see what happens when he finishes probation.
That's right. He's part of the Rock Road team now.
We'll make you or break you.
Well, Blake's house is another thing that'll make or break you. So we were at Artesian, and, I mainly spent those 4 months working.
Was I already working there when you got there?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's why in my phone it says Bryant Police, because you were working for Artesian. I started making money again, and that felt good. I had a girl show me her boobs, and that felt amazing. So I spent all that time, having money, and this girl is my higher power. I needed to go to Blake's.
Yeah, you were still an angry, grumpy, miserable fuck.
Yeah.
Good old golf course days, am I right? Hey.
You were the first person I met when I got out. We also worked together. I always tell people, there's somebody in my life now who thinks he's going to get out of detox and just jump back into real life. We worked horrible jobs. And I think that experience of being humbled and working for almost minimum wage and doing work you don't want to do, I think that's a valuable lesson.
I mean, it definitely is. And I mean, for me, like, you know my story. Like, I had cocaine. I had tons of X pills. I had wax. I had open containers. I had paraphernalia. I was living out of my van, middleman and hustle and shit to keep getting high for a 4-month run that led me there. I was happy to not go back to prison. I was happy that my option was a halfway house. Shit, I was facing 15 years in 2010. So I'm not even supposed to be free, and here I am fucking off the freedom that this higher power I prayed to gave to me just to do 45 days in Rock Road, because the last time I had a DUI was over a decade was nice. Going to a halfway where I still get to put on my own clothes, open a refrigerator, get my own food, and not be eating trays, that was nice. That was a privilege.
Was this your first time in a halfway house?
First time and last.
Yeah, I like that because I hope it's my last. I will do everything possible for the rest of my life to never go back. But I had no idea what a halfway house really was.
I did because of my little brother.
I don't really have a good track record of living with people and getting along. Like, all my roommates, mostly been girls I was dating, and it always ends in us hating each other. Any roommate I had either became a fight or they got locked up, something. It was always just tension and problems. This time I had no choice. I had to live with some people. I had to learn to deal with life with other people. Very different personalities. Sharing the refrigerator.
Hoorah.
Missing peanut butter. Sharing your room and never getting a minute alone because you're psycho workaholic.
Hoorah. Not me. It's not me. Long live the hoorah.
There's lots of lessons to be learned from the halfway house, I think. I thought it was going to be the worst experience of my life. I actually loved my time at Artesian. Besides the not working my steps part and still being angry. I mean, it was like going to college. I'd gone to college, but I never lived in like a dorm or anything. I never lived with people. This was my first time, like, being a grown-up and living with people. And you were one of those people. Jesus Christ.
Well, being in prison and having to have a 100-man dormitory with 8 shower heads and 8 stalls. And, like, Artesian was great. I have to share the room with one person. Cool. Oh, I'm in a master. I have my own bathroom. That's cool. Like, as crazy as it sounds, sometimes when life gets stressful and adulting gets stressful, I'm like, fuck, I wish I was still at Artesian. Like, that was the best.
I had my own room at Blake's towards the end. And
instead of 4 years in prison, 3.5 at Artesian was way better.
Well, obviously that's going to be better.
It gave me a lot of time to reflect and work on myself and work on my recovery and, like, get my adulting on and focus on myself. And then it was a beautiful blessing. I'm sure a lot of people thought I was crazy when I was, like, a year sober, saying, when I move out of here, I'm buying a house. But that was the goal, man. Like,
well, no, I'm laughing because people do think you're crazy. And
I mean, I am.
the more you get to know you, the more you realize that is true. Long live the hoorah.
Yeah,
Say it.
James, good luck. Talk about get sober. Your sole focus is work and
Constantly saying, I just did
shit.
2.5 years in prison at the end of every
And-
sentence.
yeah.
Like he was the only person that
But
had ever been locked
the
up.
crazy days, like, because we worked at a lot of shitty places together.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's crazy? Like, I would quit a job in a heartbeat to go back pushing a broom because I was happier getting to listen to my spiritual meditation shit and like my Christian rap and doing all this. And I'd be like, I'm not a morning person, but I was like, joking, having fun, doing, why? Because
we actually did have a lot of fun. And I think
I was getting aligned every morning, listening to my music, doing my thing to put up with crazy people.
like the hoorahs,
Not just the hoorahs, but
the Blake's House people, the homeless people. Yes.
Tommy. I love Tommy to death, but boy, he was so fucking crazy.
I ended up working with Tommy at the golf course, and I had to tell him many times, don't talk before 8. Because,
Me too, because he was so negative, and I'm like, come on now.
well, he would just repeat the same thing over and over again. Alrighty then.
He's what Barb would call an asshole. He kept asking all this advice, and you would give him the advice, and then he wouldn't apply it. So he was just an asshole asking the same questions and wondering why it didn't work, because you're not applying anything.
Well, he's back again. I hope maybe this time he does something different, because apparently the last times haven't worked.
He seems to be doing really good. And then you were talking about like the big book though. Like, I don't know how it works or why it works. I mean, it explains how and why it works right there. It works because now your passion is watching this group of people grow up around you and flourish, right? So that's you helping the next person that's like you from their despair. You know what I mean? And it works because you don't rest on your laurels and you continue to grow spiritually, right? And when we're placed beyond human aid, there's only the option of finding something bigger than ourselves or the drinking a drug that was our God to replace it, right? That's how it works. It's all divine.
It's trying to explain to kids in the detox just how to believe. And once you believe, everything changes. But you can't force someone to do absolutely everything in the world except believe.
My early belief was going with a fishing pole, sitting at Sanskrit and watching the sunset, listening to music, and knowing I can't control that sun or that water moving. Bryant Dee's porch meeting, the love in the air, and then him, hey, did I tell you I love you, and hugging me and shit, and I'm like, get the fuck off of me. I don't like feelings.
Yes.
I don't like them. I hate myself. How can you fucking love me? You don't know me. You don't know what the fuck I've done. I'm a terrible human.
Yes.
Right? And then it turned into like me and you talking. I'm in my head like, hey, God, save me from slapping this bitch right now. You know what I mean? Keep me from blowing up. I'm about to lose my mind. Refrain me from going back to Joe in this moment. You know what I mean? It's me talking to my homeboy, just like me and you talk. It wasn't I'm getting down on my knees and, God, please, XYZ, this formal fucking thing. It's an ongoing conversation all day, all night in my head because I'm fucking crazy to ask this power to help me control my emotions so I don't lash out on the world around me.
And I think that's why those broom pushing jobs were so good for us, because we got to spend the day basically meditating, thinking about this is so much better than being in prison. And like, I got freedom. I don't really have many responsibilities. I'm just sweeping or I'm raking sand. Like those crappy jobs.
Just on YouTube, listen to speaker takes and very spiritual, weird shit that I won't even get into here because, man, you don't want to see my YouTube feed. Demons and angels and chakras and dimensions and...
I didn't do that, but I listened to a lot of music, and it's funny because I'm old. I still listen to the same stuff I listened to 20 years ago.
Same.
But being sober, going back and listening to the words, there is a ton of music that I love that I had no idea was about drugs, alcohol, and sobriety. There are many bands that, looking back now, they were talking about being sober 20 years ago.
Or looking back, I used to scream every word to Limp Biscuits Nookie, and I didn't know. And he's from Jacksonville. It was all about a crackhead he wanted to bang.
Really?
That he did it all for the Nookie so she could take that cookie, that big-ass rock, and put it in her, That she let everybody else under the sun hit it, but he still couldn't get it. And I'm singing every word. No wonder I'm fucked.
We also both spent time in Jacksonville.
Duval.
I was in Duval
Duval.
from 2007 to 2013. And I was in the downtown, what do they call that? The Metro Jail, downtown.
The hood. Right next to the Maxwell Coffee House.
Yes. But I spent many, many nights in that place.
Lots
And
of one-nighters. I did a year. I got lucky. I got to go to the one down the road from it.
the prison farm?
No, the work release / drug dorm.
Oh,
that was right down the road from it, on the other side of
Oh,
95.
yeah, the prison farm is way out there.
No, I was in the P farm too.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I did that too.
That
William
was
P. Montgomery.
That's
Never
it.
forget.
And you're in that one room with like 100 people and all those bunk beds.
That's
But
prison.
I was talking
But less
about
than a-
how when I was there, I had this plan. It was 2013. I'm going to get out. Obviously, drugs and alcohol are getting me in trouble because I keep getting arrested. You know, I don't really understand why, but I'm going to cool down. I'm not going to drink. Okay, maybe on holidays, but I'll probably smoke weed, but that's it.
Only at home.
Yes, but no drugs.
Only on the weekend.
I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm talking to my mom every day, telling her I'm going to get out, go to work. Everything's going to be great. I learned a lesson. I detoxed off methadone in that fucking place. Like, no medically assisted detox. It was just, So anyway, I got out.
What's a medically assisted detox? I've never had those. Mine's
You know,
always in a jail
Yes.
cell. Here's an ibuprofen. Stop bitching.
No, I had to buy people psych meds so I wouldn't die.
I didn't even do that. I just suffered. I
Well,
put myself there.
That was my detox. Gio the other night called Rock Road our detox, and it's true because that's where all three of us went through hell. But I got out of that place on September 1st, completely willing to do this new life and change everything around. And I don't do drugs anymore. I'm going to be different. I want it so bad. And the girl that picked
the
me
moment.
up had morphine and Adderall in the car.
At the moment.
And as soon as she popped it out, it was gone. And by the time I got to my mom's house, I was completely blacked out. Just, I remember little bits and pieces, and then Less Than Jake played that night in Gainesville, and I was on stage screaming, all this stuff, having a great time. Don't remember a second of it.
That's, yeah.
And I wanted to be sober so bad. I was going to, but then suddenly it seemed like a good idea to snort an Adderall on the morphine 100.
I was told by a spiritual sensei once upon a time, especially dealing with artesian, there's the people that have to be, that want to be, and that need to be. There's a big difference, right? I knew I needed to be sober to not have these consequences. I knew I had to be sober because I didn't want these consequences. I never earnestly wanted in my heart to stay sober because I couldn't imagine life without a drink or a drug.
Yes.
So just like you, every time I got out, like I went to Gladiator Camp, the Brevard, before it was shut down. And my first day out, I'm taking gravity bongs. I'm drinking a handle of E&J, throwing up blacked out on the side of a house at my little brother's people's house that are around the corner. That's first day out. First day out.
First day out is always the day to make up for lost time. But this time I wasn't going to.
4 years. I just missed a 15 years to a life sentence. 15-year minimum mandatory. And I stayed sober for that 4 years, and I got out and stayed sober for over a year, and that was my sobriety time. I did all this self-knowledge research. I'm going to read every spiritual thing I can get my hands on, from the Quran to Scientology books to Buddhism to Taoism to the secret teaching of all ages to the Satanic Bible. It didn't matter. Whatever it was,
That
if
was
I
gonna
could
help
find
you.
my own God in this thing that helped me, if I just learned all this stuff, it would keep me sober. It wasn't that long, in retrospect, I'm looking at my little brother and he's outside smoking. I'm like, yo, let me hit that. He's like, bro, you've been sober for this, you want to hit it? Yeah, let me hit that shit, bitch. Because
You have
that's
no
been my...
mental defense against the first
I forget
drink
the
or
pain
drug.
and the misery from a day, a month, a week, years ago. And it's the same thing, like...
That time detoxing was the absolute worst thing I've ever been through, because I would usually detox on my own and take some Xanax, some Klonopin, whatever. This was just straight in downtown, the main center, for like 15 days, not getting out of bed, not eating, just puking and being a fucking mess. And then going to the dorm with 100 people, still dope sick, but, getting better. It was the most miserable thing I'd ever been through at the time. And as soon as that shit came up, I forgot all about how bad it just was.
Exactly, because that's just the way an addict is wired, man. And like the big book talks about, it says we neither wish to shut the door on the past or forget it, basically. I fucking carry my canteen canteen prison bag, and I put my clothes in it, And I see that shit almost every day of the week.
To remind you.
But I forgot about that because after, I would like to tell you since 2015, no, I did not stay sober. I went out for 4 more years learning. You know what prison did? It taught me to be a better criminal. You know how many times I got pulled over by the cops and I'm wearing the tightest boxer briefs with shit bundled up 2-3 times with Vaseline and everything to make it not spill, and I got wax and weed and coke and pills and all this so high up in my nuts, but I'm wearing the baggiest clothes, and I'm in a friend's car and they're like, can we search? And I'm like, sure. And I know I'm good, but the car ain't. And they're going in and I'm walking away. One of the times, we called him Crazy Dave. Not the same one that's in Juggalos in recovery. Different Dave. He gets pulled over for speeding. I have all this shit on me. He's intoxicated. I'm intoxicated. I got a Tropicana bottle, big boy, with a screwdriver. I have the nerve after the police let me go and I'm shaking and I walk off and start smoking a cigarette. My alcoholic mind walks back and goes, hey, officers, I left my drink in the car. Can I grab it real quick? And grabbed it right in front of him and kept walking. Like, dude, the insanity.
One of the things about Jacksonville I forgot about, I got arrested for shoplifting. And even though it was shoplifting, all my crimes are drug related. Because if I'm shoplifting, it's because I need money to buy drugs. Because at the time I was too dope sick to work. Or whatever. It was, the normal insanity. So I get arrested. The girlfriend bails me out. And I've been downtown. And
You got bailed out?
yeah.
That's never
It
happened.
was $500. It was nothing.
That's never happened.
The only time. So I know how they intake you at the jail. So I got bailed out. I went back to court. I had to turn myself in on a certain date and do like 30 days, whatever it was. So I cut a hole in the tongue of my sneakers. And I filled one with Klonopin. And I filled the other with morphine. And I thought I was the fucking man. Like, I'm so smart that I thought of this and I'm getting away with it.
So did 100 people before you.
But it's also the insanity of going to prison for many, many years for introduction of contraband and getting charged for every pill. But like at the time, that seemed like the normal thing to do. That's how insane life was, that it seemed normal.
Duval County is ridiculous. I got taken in one time. This is when I was with my now wife. And they took me in for possession of paraphernalia. And I got arrested for the weed bowls, right? But they put my grinder with a dub sack of fucking Crippy into my personal property, released me with that grinder full of bud, and called it an ashtray. I'm like, these dudes are fucking retarded. So you took me in for a fucking pipe, but gave me my fucking grinder with all my weed?
Dude. The first time I got arrested in Jacksonville, it was for shoplifting. And they made me go to that shoplifting class. You ever do that?
No. I just go to prison.
I moved to Jacksonville to start over. They didn't know who I was. So
no,
the
I'm
first
born
time,
and raised there. That's different. Look, when I was like 14, before I did a year in juvie, the cops knew me by name. They would pull up and go, "Hey, Mr. Best, you staying out of trouble?" I'm like, "What the fuck you think?"
that's
You know
why
what
you
I
should have
mean?
moved.
All over the South Side, they knew me. They knew me by name. They knew me by nickname, man.
So I get arrested. They make me go to this class, and that was it. I think there was unsupervised probation. But at that class, it was at the Holiday Inn on US 1, and you're in this gigantic room with like 100 people. You all have to read these books about shoplifting and the consequences of it. I learned so many tricks and scams from the people in that room. And there was a girl next to me, and in the middle of the class, she whips out a sandwich bag full of pills. And I was like, what's up with that? She's like, oh, this is my medicine. You want one? Gives me an Oxy 80 for free. Of course, we ended up talking and, we
Sounds like
did some
Duval.
stuff together. But that punishment made me learn more about crime and, barcode scams and check scams. Like, I didn't know any of that
prison and
stuff.
jail ever did. It taught me to be a better criminal. That's why my last long-term run was 4 years without catching a felony while doing felonious shit. And then I had my first overdose, which turned into a 2-week blackout coma. And I thought, what a selfish piece of shit I am. Here I am with 2 beautiful kids and this girl and this family and all these people that love me. And I hate myself in the world so much, I'd rather die than be in it. I would rather cause everybody in pain because I'm gone, because I think the world would be better off without me in it. And I felt so selfish, and I'm like, I'll get sober for the wife and the kids. Well, the fiance and the kids. And that lasted about 6 months. And then the thing that I've had to learn over the years is I cannot do anything. Doesn't matter what it is. My slippery slope's always with weed. It's like, I could smoke some weed, it'll be fine. But the truth of the matter is, once the feelings that are produced quit working, I'm going to mix anything else to keep that high, to keep chasing. I don't even have to know what it is, I'm going to do it. Could have never heard of it. I got 5 whatchamacallits. Give me all of them right now. I don't want to talk to you again later. Take my money. Fucking shut up. I've never heard of this shit. It's a brand new drug. Give it to me, you know? And that's the insanity of it. But I've noticed also, the longer I stay sober, it's just not mind-altering substances.
No, it's
Scratch-off tickets. Gambling. Women.
it's sex.
Doom scrolling on YouTube.
Yes.
Anything that gives me
Instagram.
a dopamine rush in my bipolar brain, which already lacks happiness, I want to chase that. And then I notice I'm in unhealthy habits again.
There's many things that I try to explain to people. All right, me and coffee. I drink like 2 pots of coffee a day. I know it's not good for me. I know I shouldn't, but I drink it even when I don't need it. Like, that's just what I do instead of energy drinks. But I explain it in meetings when it comes to girls, money, sex, a new car, a new house, whatever it is. When I'm focused on those things and those things become my higher power, that takes me away from God. I can't help somebody else. I can't live the principles of the program when all I care about is scratch-offs. And my life revolves around that. Or all my time is dedicated to this girl. And that's the slippery slope that we see so many people throw it all away for.
All the time. And I would like to tell you that I'm perfect, but fuck no. I have my downfalls even here recently, even here in the past year. Like, you know what I mean? I'm a human. I fell. And I notice when I fell. But all I have to do is just to get up and keep trying. But I know no matter what these days, it will never go back to a drink or a drug. It doesn't matter if I lose all the material shit, if I lost the wife, if I lost the house, if somebody in my family dies. Like, I never want that fucking misery back.
Yes.
Because I was a slave. I was just a shell of a human. I didn't know who the fuck I was. 30 years old. I've spent damn near a decade of my life locked up. So when you look at, you ain't really kind of grown to like 12 or 13. Most of my time was behind bars. My runs were short-lived. They were hard as fuck. They were insane. They were short-lived. And all the things I've experienced in life, I don't remember most of it. You know what's great being sober? Going to concerts, remembering everything. Having conversations and meeting people and remembering their faces and remembering shit. Doing shit with my kids and remembering it. No longer I'm just trying to smoke weed and get drunk on the back porch. Shut up and leave me alone. Like, you're blowing my high. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a whole 180. It's a whole different switch from where I was 7 years ago to right now. And, they talk about, like, you stopped growing at the age you started using, right? I was an everyday weekend warrior, everyday type user at 12, 13, right? But thank God I had, like, a year in juvie, a year in county, a year in prison, 4 more years in prison, because I learned, and I grew, and I changed. Because when I get locked up, I don't want to be high around a bunch of people I'm worried about if I got to fight them or something crazy is going to go on. I don't do that. Watching a motherfucker smoke crack out of a chicken bone at a work camp, it's insanity.
I seen it out of a master lock.
Scratching, Suboxone to get high. I'm like, dude, are you... People smoking spice, pounding on the guard window, like basically snitching. I'm like, bro, y'all are tripping.
This guy came from money. You could buy, what was it, $50 a day in commissary, or that was the limit. Every commissary day, buy $50 worth of stuff. Give it to this guy. The guy would give him crack. He'd go back in the corner, smoke it out of a master lock, and it was gone.
Yep.
And he would just wait for the next time to get money, to get that commissary, to smoke all that crack. I just thought at the time, like, wow, crackheads are stupid. But, like, I became that person. Not with crack and master locks, but I became that person where every single dollar needed to go to getting high. And I have a wife, and I have a step kid, and I have a job, and none of that mattered. I was such a selfish piece of shit that I brought so much misery to them because me needing a chemical was more important than me taking care of them and being a good worker, not starting fights, not stealing shit from Home Depot on the way home. I might not have been the crackhead smoking out of the master lock, but my addiction was just as bad.
I mean, I totally raped. I heard somebody talking about it. Army crawled to my mom's purse and stole money out of it. I was like, that's me. I've done that. Like, I was a piece of shit. I'm going to pawn my mom's rings. I'm going to take my autistic brother's shit and pawn it. You know what I mean? That can't even speak for himself. I was a piece of shit, but for me, whatever I could middleman, make money, hustle to keep feeding addiction is what I was going to do. And if you were in the way, I'm sorry, bro. Which is crazy because, like, the Juggalo family is all supposed to be about, like, loyalty and family. Like, I couldn't even be a loyal person in the family because I was such a full-blown addict that I was a slave. That was my higher power. It didn't matter how much I loved you and cared about you and how much I knew it was going to hurt me and hurt you in the long run. I'm either going to fuck you over or push you away. You know why? Because I'm scared that you might actually care enough, and I'm a slave to this thing that I have no control over. I have no willpower over. and I can't stop no matter how much it hurts.
And at the time, too, when I was that much of a slave, there were no more good times. There was no happiness.
My good times quit about 17.
Yes, I might have been relieved now that my rig is full and I'm about to do this heroin and cocaine in a park in Palm Beach because this is what I waited for every day. And there'd be that instant happiness immediately going away. And now I'm pissed I don't have more, or I'm pissed that it's going to wear off. I'm pissed I got to do this all over again. There was no enjoyment. It was just maintaining, not being suicidal.
Well, there might have been a piece of nedding, it's Juggalo slang for, the coochie, you know what I mean? There was some nedding, there was some parties, there was some good times. I can't say there wasn't, but the internal feelings I felt, I'm supposed to be around a whole bunch of, like, juggalos and family and people that consider me family, and I still feel completely alone. They can't drink the way I drink, and I thought that was a proud thing. They can't drug the way I drink. And, I took pride in that. I'm like, yeah, I'm a fucking alcoholic. Yeah, I'm a fucking addict. I'll do more than any of y'all. And, like, even as fucked up as some of my friends were, they didn't even want to deal with me come to the end, because I was just such a degenerate addict piece of shit.
In the end, I really had nobody. I wasn't talking to my family. I had the wife. I wasn't talking to her. I mean, the last 2 years, we barely spoke. I'd give her money and she wouldn't be on my back so much. I had absolutely nobody. And looking back, it started off with so many friends and being the center of attention. And I'm doing this because it's an awesome time.
Yeah, when you're the life of the party and you're still fun and you have money and drugs and you can help people get everything, Like ICP has this song called I Do This. And that's what everybody said I was. They were said, oh, this is your song. It's talking about, if you want a dead body head, you want drugs, you want guns, you want this. Like, I do this shit all the time. They're like, that's you, Diablo. That was my name. And it was my name for a reason. If we were cool, we were cool. If I hated you, I turned into a devil. I was on a warpath, bro. I will kick in your fucking door. I will have people holding me back. Like, it did not matter. I was definitely evil incarnate. I was possessed by the drugs and alcohol.
Be something in your family, because when your little brother gets messed up,
He thinks he's
possessed
Jesus,
too.
though.
Yes.
That's different. I was on the darker spectrum.
So he was Jesus and you were Satan.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is I met my wife during all this.
Somehow she's still around.
She's sick like me.
We met at the halfway house and we ended up working together. Turns out we actually were in Jacksonville at the same time. But one of the most amazing things is I was in a car accident either May or June of 2019, before the next car accident that got me arrested. I crashed my work van behind Wawa off of Gatlin. They brought me to Narcan, brought me to the hospital. They took the van to this junkyard, this auto place. I just lost my job. Now my wife, they called her at work. She's going to finally know this is going on. My world is falling apart. That quicksand moving in from all directions, it was multiple layers of it. I told them that I had medication I needed in my van. I had no idea what was going to be in there, but I'm thinking if they just took it and I'm not in jail, I'm walking out of the hospital, they didn't find what I had in there. So I was able to talk my way into the tow yard. My work had to release the title so I could get permission to go in because I keep telling them I have seizures, I have blood pressure, I'm going to die if I don't have my pills. And I finally get in my van, completely total, because I crashed right into a tree. I got in. And there's my little first aid kit. I opened up my first aid kit that's got my rigs and a bunch of caps. And I took out a cap, did a nice fat line, got all the stuff, and said, all right, now I can figure it out. And once I'm high again, I ended up getting a new job that day. The insanity of what happened that day, and I went into that tow yard. And my only concern while my wife's there crying, the police just let me go, I needed to get high.
It was like me with that screwdriver.
But it turns out
I gotta walk back and get that motherfucker. I need to finish drinking it.
But I heard you speak once, and it turns out you had a similar incident at that same exact tow yard.
Oh, yeah. Tow Boys right in front of Alternatives Motorcycle Club. Like, I didn't even know there was a fucking fellowship over there, let alone sober bikers or any of this other thing. And
out of all the places for both our cars to
my last jail trip and my final one, hopefully by the grace of God, unless like somebody harms my wife or family and I beat them into a bloody fucking pulp, or kill them, because it probably will happen.
This is why YouTube doesn't like me.
Raw and uncut. But okay. I hit an all-black Beamer that was parked with two wheels in the road, and it's nighttime, and I got night blindness, and there's this big pickup truck with these white halogen lights, so I go blind. I don't see nothing. And I clipped this Beamer. I got ecstasy and cocaine and wax and open containers, all the things we were talking about earlier, in this minivan. They put it in the tow yard, and 3 days before I get out, I'm in for 40 to 5 days, they sell the vehicle, right? My tattooing stuff is in there, my clothes are in there, my life's in there. The storage unit that I had is already gone because I haven't paid it. And I heard about the place Artesian while I was in jail. For the first time, like a real honest prayer happened while I was in jail. You're talking about the detoxes in jail. I'm detoxing off X, I'm detoxing off Coke, I'm detoxing off painkillers, I'm detoxing off alcohol, I'm detoxing off weed. Whatever I was doing, because I don't remember most of it, you know what I mean? Mainly X, Coke, alcohol, and weed. But I'm sure there was other things that I don't remember. I'm just having the worst detox in my life, and nobody's ever bailed me out or put money on the phone. Like, I've had money sent on the books, but it's always been letters or whatever, and it's never been a lot of money. I don't come from a money-type family, and it's always sitting there and learn your lesson. Like, that never learned my lesson. You know what the fuck? To me, like, it was an escape from the world that I didn't like anyways. But I'm sitting there going through the worst detox in my life, and I just prayed, and I had this prayer, and my little brother just shared it because he remembered me talking about it, and he's like, I prayed that prayer, and I really haven't had an obsession or craving since. And my prayer was literally me bawling, crying after my son goes, are you in jail again? Is it the alcohol? Because he's still young, my oldest. Because he grew up watching me, you know, every 3 months in prison I got to see him. That's what he remembers. Dad, I used to have night terrors from visiting you in jail. He doesn't know the difference. You know, and then here I am in the county jail again at 30. And like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And my son's like, are you in there again because of the alcohol? Because I used to take him to meetings with me. So now he knows. And I just start breaking down crying after that phone call. And I'm just like, I don't know who I am or what I am anymore or why I can't stop. I'm like, God, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me. Can you just get this shit off me? I don't want to do this anymore. I genuinely just don't. And I can't stop. And I just kept saying that in my head until I cried my fucking self to sleep like a little bitch in Rock Road.
It sounds familiar.
And
who else did this?
I woke up and I was no longer obsessing and craving about about the drugs that I'm going to get out and use, even though I just could have went to prison for the rest of my fucking life. Because when I was facing that 15 years of life, they told me, the judge said I had to quit blaming my criminal life choices on my alcoholism addiction. If I see you in the state of Florida with another felony, I'm going to recommend the max. You know how many felonies I had in that fucking car? I'm not even supposed to be free till 2025. What's today's date, Leroy? 5/31/24.
2024. So you'd still be in.
I'm supposed to still be in. Every day is a blessing. And then some people are like, why are you always happy and joking all the time? Bitch, I'm on borrowed time. I've been on borrowed time since 2014. How the fuck I'm even around? How do I get to meet the people I meet, talk to the people I get to meet, be an impact? I'm not even supposed to be here. How did 3 guys 100 years ago formulate this book and go start helping people that spawned every other A related program that also led up to, where's it at? Juggalos in recovery. Oh, look, I'm a juggalo. I'm a degenerate junkie druggalo. Juggalo.
Druggalo.
/ thuggalo, because I was thugging out there. You know what I mean? And if there isn't something divine at play, tell me what it is then. Because all this shit isn't coincidental.
So this is the part of I don't understand how it works that it's hard to explain, because you were in the same places as me, in the same jails as me. We end up with our cars in the same place, full of drugs, the same tow yard, which happens to be across from our home group. And then you're the first person I meet when I get to the halfway house. And oddly enough, you're the one that ends up sponsoring me and explaining that book to me.
Not just explaining it, breaking it down like a street kid. I break it down, though. I take this 100-year-old text and just like I'm sitting here and talking to you and we're talking, I take this and break it down. So this is basically what it's saying.
Yes, and that's why it worked.
Because degenerate junkies like us, we're kind of illiterate, we're kind of shy.
Kind of
we're
stupid.
reading a 100-year-old book.
With big
some
words.
Things don't click. Yeah. What the fuck is a doggerel on a tombstone? It's that shit they engraved, that little saying that's called a doggerel. If you ain't know that.
No, I don't think I did.
I broke it down to you years ago. Anyways, you know what I mean?
Still a lot to
but
remember.
it's taking that one page and break it into a few minute conversation so somebody else can understand it and it can click and register. You know what I mean? And I had some kid who was younger than me that was able to do the same thing for me. He was more of a hippie, so it was broke down a little bit different. If there isn't some sort of divine intervention, some divine purpose, if there isn't some sort of rhyme and reason to things, then why the fuck does everything happen? There's no chance that I would ever look back on my life, even though I can now, but like going through those motions, that I could have looked in those motions, or even in the recent future of that past, and go, this is why this is happening. How would I know, going through parents' divorce and shitty relationships and mental health issues and PTSD and incarcerations and the helpless and addiction, how would I know that
It would bring you here.
bring me here and I would be able to help other people, that so they don't have to do the same things I did, and if they did do the same things I did, that I may be useful to them. It's nuts. When I got sober, I didn't even know Juggalos in recovery was a thing, and I found that, and I was like, oh my god, there's a fellowship for people like me. So I get to hang out with the people that are mentally fucked up, addicts, alcoholics,
And listen to the same music.
in recovery, and they're Juggalos. It's the trifecta. I get all the things I love in one. Like, dude.
Well, we're talking about things have to happen for a reason. If it wasn't that car crash that brought me to that tow yard, that brought me to the next car crash, that brought me to Rock Road, that brought me to break down and cry and ask God for help and get into a halfway house. If it wasn't for me getting kicked out of the halfway house, you wouldn't have been able to be my sponsor.
No.
So I had to get
I
kicked
found
out.
your kratom. That was second grade. Let's do house searches. I'm in here with my coworkers.
The first time ever that things were
the dumbest,
searched.
yeah, the dumbest thing ever. Right here in a grocery store baggie. Here's fucking my Gatorade bottle for making kratom and my empty kratom bag. Dude, I'm like, I thought you were a convict. Come on.
All right, so let's talk about things happening for a reason. That day, Celebrate Recovery came in, and they're doing their Celebrate Recovery thing, and they bring up praying for something big, praying for a big change. Like, this is the time, let's pray together. So I could not stand my roommate, Mr. Hoorah. He was driving me insane. He wanted me to move out with them, and he wanted me to buy a car with them. For some reason, he hitched his wagon to me so bad I couldn't get away
He was trying to
from him.
manipulate you to get what you wanted.
Yes, absolutely.
What he wanted, I meant.
But at the time, he was a friend. I didn't know how to say no, and it was very
So
uncomfortable.
you thought.
Absolutely, but at the time. So we're doing the part where we all pray, and I pray for two things. I pray that somehow God removes him from my life in a peaceful way. I didn't want him to get hurt like I would normally pray on people. I just wanted him to be removed from my life and have the best resolution for both of us. And I prayed that I started exercising more and riding my bike, because I think I was starting to get fat and lazy. So I prayed for those two things. By the end of the day, I'm kicked out. He's no longer my roommate. And I have to ride a bike for a year at Blake's house. So I got exactly what I prayed for, just in the exact opposite way of
And
what
we
I
still
wanted.
worked together after that.
Yes, the good old golf
And you
course.
didn't seem to have too much of hard feelings over it.
No, it was,
Yeah.
it was
I don't-
probably
I-
one of the times that something like that happened and my mind didn't turn to like revenge or hate. Like, I knew that I had done something wrong. I broke the rules. I need to pay the consequences. And that's one of the first times that ever happened.
Well, kicking you out wasn't as bad as, like, the one that happened with Sebastian, the other guy from the golf course, the young Spanish kid with the Jeep.
Didn't he like overdose on?
He told me he had new sleeping meds, so I thought he was just groggy because he woke up like Seroquel hangover, drove us to work. It turned out he had been drinking. I never smelt it on him. You know, that one was a little bit, like yours, the kratom thing, I was just like, pussy, go shoot dope. Why bother with fucking kratom? Just go shoot dope. I've done kratom. The shit's stupid.
The point is that everything is
But because
part
of
of
that-
God's plan, because that's what brought me to Blake's house, which was exactly what I needed, which gave me the opportunity to let you take me through the book that got me to this point
Well-
today where we're both here.
Well, what gave the opportunity was you picked my little brother for a sponsor, and you half-assed the shit and tried to make a friendship out of sponsorship when it works the other way around. You make sponsorship, and then after you do your steps, if you want to be friends and y'all have connected, you're friends.
I had to preheat the oven before I got ready.
yeah. Baby brother pulls the old manipulation addiction stunt at Artesian, tells everybody this car broke down, he's on 95, and this whole story. I'm like, no. Let's go flip his room right now. I guarantee you that's not it. And I start finding empty cold medicine wrappers everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, he's back on the bullshit. So I kicked him out. I had to snitch on him, and I had to flip his shit, and I had to get him kicked out. But I take recovery serious. Like, it's life or death. Like,
And-
either do this shit and don't fuck around, or don't do this shit.
Yes, and that's why it made sense.
And if you
because
don't
I
want to
got
do this
that.
shit, fuck off and go get high by yourself. Don't fucking bring everybody down with you. And then you came up to me after my little brother was out running again, and I'm like, so you got a new sponsor? And you were like, no. And I'm like, well, since we're cool, you're my homeboy. My little brother was already sponsoring you. I'm a convict. You're a convict. If you want me to sponsor you, I'll sponsor you. Just offer on the table.
I guess.
Yeah, that's how you sounded. And you look like this too, kind of like a defeated dog, I guess. I'm like, well, you ready to quit being fucking miserable? You want to fucking do this shit or not? And you're like, yeah, I guess.
I don't know if I was ready to not be miserable.
And then I
I
was
have
like-
been so used to being miserable.
And then I was like, bro, just give me a call every week and let me know we're going to meet up and hang out. And you were hungry and you called me every week. And we met up and banged through that book. And you wrote your shit down on paper. And you talked about it just like I did with my sponsor. I chased my recovery the way I did my addiction. I blew that man's phone up. What he told me to do, I did it. And I was on him every week. Yo, we still meeting on Sunday?
That is true.
And I went through my steps in 60 days because of it.
Once I got a little taste of the program actually working, that's when I dove in, because I was
Yeah.
like going through the book and, oh wow, this makes more sense. Or this makes even more sense. Like, doctor's opinion made sense to me before, but now everything's making sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, once I guess I'm addicted to recovery now.
Yeah, you were hungry for that shit. Just the same way I was. I was hungry for it, man. I was looking at this, like, 20-something-year-old kid. I'll say his name. I don't care. He wasn't there to give me my 1-year medallion. He's still on my resentment list. I love this guy to death. But I'm the only sponsee he ever took through the 12 steps. And I think it was Kyle Fisk's first sponsor. His name's David Kane. How is that not God either? He ain't even around. But I'm the only person he took through the 12 steps and got through the 12 steps, and I'm still here sober. Like, how is there not something bigger at play? You know what I mean? I just seen this young buck, and he got multiple years of sobriety, and he's laughing and joking, and his story is similar to mine, minus the incarcerations. But, like, the drug use and the emotions that he was going through and the things, you know, like, I was like, that's me. How the fuck are you this young and this sober? I couldn't picture in my young years a life without a drink or a drug. That's why sobriety never worked for me. Mm-hmm. You're telling me I'm 21 in prison that I'm never going to smoke weed again? Fuck out of here, bro. You're telling me when I'm 40 or 50 I can't have a joint? I can't have a drink?
Can't have champagne on New Year's.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I can't boof a Xanax?
Oh, why is the fucking boofing always have to come up with you juggalos?
It's hilarious.
God help me.
Because there's this thing called The Gathering and the Juggalos. There's even a song, I've played it before you. It's talking about
I
boofing
know.
it. And we'll give you free stuff if I can shove it in your butt. And I don't think it really happens as much people do. It's more of funny shock value. If you didn't notice, Juggalo stuff is just shock value humor. We find fucked up shit that makes people go, what the fuck? Hilarious. So we do it.
No, that makes more sense if that's the case, but
We like talking about murder and pedophiles. We think that's hilarious.
Well, that is.
Some people might go, oh, this is disgusting.
well, those are the people who shouldn't be watching. I took it as people are really doing this now.
Of course, there is some, but it's not all what it seems. Most of it is just joking around. All the people going, show me your butthole. They don't actually want to see your butthole. They're just fucking trolling you, just the way people do on
Oh, I
internet.
thought people actually did it.
Some people do, because they're crazy.
All right, if
But most
that's
of
the
it's
case,
just fucking around. Just like people run around with megaphones at the gather going, fuck your sleep, fuck your sleep. If you get upset and you can't sleep, that's your fucking fault. They're just being clowns. That's what we are, clowns. They're just clowning around having a good time. And if that bothers you, well, then maybe you're not in the right fucking spot.
Yep.
We like to bother people. So it was crazy because, like, from having you in the halfway and then out of the halfway, all the things that we both have personally been through, like me getting my life together and getting driver's license and cars and motorcycles.
you were the
and
first
house
person
and-
I saw that didn't have a license just like me and was able to get it. And you had the little machine you had to blow in.
Yeah.
And you picked me and your brother up from the golf course. And I'm in
Yeah.
the back seat and I'm thinking, wow, this guy actually did it.
Yeah. All those little goals I set and reached for, and then watching you do the same kind of shit, you know what I mean? I'm going from getting kicked out from using Kratom to going to another house to being trusted enough to manage a house, and then you're calling me, like, for advice, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've been here 100 times, sponsee. Like, hey, if you need any advice, I'll give you all the you know, cheat codes right now if they're manipulating or doing this or doing that. Fuck that. This is how you got to do some shit, you know? So you get in your own place and getting vehicle and getting your vehicle totaled and about to lose your mind. And I'm like, yo, dumbass, chill.
So
I'm not getting in the ambulance. Bro, calm down. Take a deep breath. Go in the ambulance. I'm going to tell you, whiplash is a motherfucker. You're going to feel this later. And insurance is going to cover everything.
the important part is that I'm dropping someone off at Artesian. I'm coming back. I get hit by a drunk driver.
I just
Ironically,
randomly see it.
you happened to be there. And at the time, I was, what's the word? Just
Out of your fucking mind?
uncontrollable
Losing your
rage. And
Flipping your wig?
I look back at it and remember it being like almost a blackout because I was so insane. And I kind of knew this isn't good, but I also couldn't stop it. And then somehow...
Daddy Bear rolls up. Calm your ass down, boy. Come over here, Leroy. Take some deep breaths. You're not doing nothing. Wait for the cops
my
to get
God.
here. The EMT's here. I'm fine. No, you're not, bitch. Get in the EMT.
That was...
Your car is replaceable. You're not. Gel, you don't want to go back there either. Just fucking do it.
Talking about things happening for a reason. Okay, I got hit by a drunk driver. Pretty ironic. So I finally have a good lawyer, and I end up getting hit by somebody who had no license, not even a citizen. And I got money for the car, though, and I was able to buy a better car.
And go to the chiropractor.
You told me to do that. And I actually learned some stuff that helped my back. And eventually I actually got some money. It was because I went to the chiropractor. And it was an amazing thing. There was this whole fight between insurance companies, and somebody sued somebody. And then there ended up being $4,000 almost left over. So doesn't sound like a lot, but to me, $4,000, I lived in a halfway house. That's a lot of money.
Hell yeah.
Hey, you talked about seeing the potential in somebody. And it reminded me, I met this girl like 3 or 4 years ago, and she lived at Artesian. She had a bit of a meth problem. For some reason, there's always something about her that she was like a sister to me, and I never gave up on her. And she went back home and got high, and then came back, and she actually this time got a sponsor and worked her steps. I thought no one ever saw potential in me, but I guess somebody did, and I'm able to see the potential in other people.
It's a fine line to walk. I see the potential in everybody, but whether I see them taking it seriously enough to make a change in their life, especially like all us addicts and alcoholics suffer with like codependency problems, you know what I mean? Like, I could see the potential to a degree where it hurts me, or I could see the potential and just try to be that positive push, and whether they do it or not is up to them.
Like giving somebody too many chances because you want them to have potential, but at the same time, they don't want to do the work.
You're complacent with the relationship and you don't want to let it go.
I've been through that too.
Tons of times.
One
I mean,
particular.
this is barely scratching the surface. Like, we've known each other. Fuck, you got 4 years. I'm coming up on 6 years, and we haven't even gotten all the good stuff, all the blessings that recovery has brought us. This is just like scratching the surface for us. This is just like talking the history, you know.
But this is just the start, and I'm glad you finally came over. And tonight was about not understanding how it works, and you just explain how it works because God puts people in our lives and puts us through situations that lead us to where we are today.
The funny thing is, God will never put you in a situation you can't handle. So
There'll
then
be some pretty bad ones.
yeah, but you are the person that can handle it, where another person that was in that situation would like off themselves or couldn't handle it or would be destroyed forever by it. We get put in these situations because we could bear the storm and grow from it.
And then we can teach other people how to go through the same situation.
Trippy.
Wow.